Mexican food is my love language, so tacos are super important. Hey friends, welcome to episode 5 of Ask Andrea, where you ask questions and I answer them. So I've got lots of questions left over from last time I asked for questions, and let's get started. Let's see, we've got some more. AT Studio D, hey girl. She asks that she was surprised to know that I didn't spend much on supplies and that when she was on design team, she still spent money. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify that, you know, I do spend money on myself, even though I get a lot of product for free. It's just that because I already have so much stuff incoming, I'm really picky about the stuff that I buy for myself. So for example, several months ago, when Crate Paper had a pretty big release, like with the girl kit and the cool kid boy collection, I kind of waited to see what would come in the kits that I was going to get from my design teams. And when I realized that I wasn't going to get any of the cool kid, I went out and bought some of those things because I knew I would use those because I have boys. They had really cute patterns. The colors were perfect for a lot of the photos that end up being in my pages. So, you know, I bought a couple of 12 by 12, some cut aparts, some, you know, 6 by 6 paper pad. Like I just took a little bit of time to research the stuff that I thought I would use. So I do buy stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't typically spend a ton of money on my stash. I have in the past because I've not been on design teams for that long, and I've been obviously scrapbooking for close to 20 years now. So I've gotten rid of a lot of my old supplies, stuff that I know, like I don't like that pattern. I'm never going to scrap something with a football field on the, you know, like I don't need themed papers anymore. And, you know, so I've obviously gotten rid of that. Everything I have in my stash right now has been gone through in the last 4 months, and I've purged and gotten rid of a ton of stuff that just isn't my style. I've passed by it several times and never used it. Like, it's kind of like the closet trick where they tell you to turn all of your hangers around, right? So all of your hangers hang backwards, and then you've got your whole closet full of your stuff with the hangers backwards. And then the things that you use, you're going to take out of your closet, right? So in like, you know, 4 weeks or whatever the time frame is that they want you to like do this experiment, whatever's left that's still hanging backwards is the stuff that you're just never going to use. You obviously don't reach for that top. I obviously don't reach for certain cards. So that gives me the freedom to just give it away. And I do. I'm ruthless. I don't hang on to stuff I don't need. JR Bible Art. Hey, Jessica, how are you? She asked about my Instagram name and would I change it if I could. So no, I would not change it. It's definitely part of who I am, and not just because that's how people know me, but it was actually created from back in the day when we had email addresses, you know, that I guess at that time, like early 2000s, where it was like you picked a name that represented you. And at that time I was 22 years old or something, and I was retro and thought I was hip. I mean, I was 22, right? And I was a mom. So I picked Retro Hip Mama, which was just like this, you know, 3 words that represented me at that time. And I kept that email address, and obviously, I mean, I still have it to this day, but it was just, when it came time to start being online and when I started my blog, everybody was kind of using those pseudonyms because of privacy issues. Like they had different names for their kids, and they didn't call their husband by his name. They called him like Mr. whatever, you know? So it was kind of like in that vein where I wasn't necessarily afraid to use my own name, but everybody was just kind of using these alternate names. And so I just followed suit because I thought that's, I just thought that was what we were supposed to do. That's just kind of how it went. So started as an email address, ended up here. Adrian's Inklings, she asks, well, she says, your videos are so awesome. You make it look so easy. And I wondered what advice you have for someone interested in recording their own scrapbook videos. So first, I think it's awesome that people want to record or capture this hobby. Everybody either wants to share or wants to be shared with. So it's a fantastic community, and I think it's awesome that we have the technology to be able to share and be inspired. So if you want to create nice looking videos, two things: get a tripod and good light. You honestly don't need a big fancy camera. You don't need the best editing software. Most of my videos, other than my desk tour and my first 3 episodes of this series, were all filmed on my iPhone. Even when I had an iPhone 4, when I had an iPhone 5, and now with my iPhone 6, they're all filmed on my phone. So, but again, the 2 most important things: good lighting and a tripod. Couldn't stress this more. If you have to take 4 of your lamps from somewhere in your house to light your area, a well-lit video increases the quality by like 1,000,000 times. Like, lighting is, I cannot stress how important lighting is. If you have the space and the money, grab really great softbox lights. Grab 3. That's the best. You know, obviously the more light the better. You don't want to overexpose, but the softbox lights are really great. I'd say that the 3rd most important thing would be audio. And I typically do not use a mic because I'm lazy. And usually when I'm doing my flip through videos, my face is very close to my phone and the speaker's decent, or the microphone's decent. My husband would find all the flaws because he's, you know, trained to hear good audio versus just regular audio. So when he does my videos, he mics me up, and if I ask him to help me, he'll help me mic up. But typically I'm just close enough, and if my voice is loud enough and I project enough, typically you're not going to have any problem hearing me, and we're not going to have audio issues. But just the basics, really. Lighting, it's key. It's very difficult to watch a poorly lit video. So if you're looking to do that, lighting and a tripod. One other question we have is, what advice do you have for a mom of a toddler who wants to scrapbook but can't do much while the toddler's awake? Or do you have any ideas of how to get said toddler involved? So obviously my kids are older now. They're 9 and 15. They have a 0 interest in what's happening here, but obviously I scrapbooked when they were small. So we can all definitely relate to someone somewhere trying to impede our creativity, right? Our creative time is like our sacred time. When my kids were really small, I could only scrapbook when they slept. And very rarely could I get away with, you know, them being occupied enough for me to sit and really get involved in whatever craft I was doing. So I did crops a lot. Now, when they were smaller, we had local scrapbook stores, and one of them had what was called Scrappy Hour, and Fridays and Saturdays they would have these long stretches of just having crops. And so how I would spend my time would be prepping my pages. So I had this whole process of, I'd get my photos developed, I'd go through my this is taking it back, but I subscribed to CK magazine, scrapbooks, etc., and paper crafts and more. And when I got my magazines, I would pull out the layouts that I liked, and I would organize them in a binder. This is way before Pinterest. I would organize them in a binder in categories of how many photos they used on the layout. So like I'd have a whole section of layouts with just 1 photo, layouts with 2 photos, layouts with 3, and I went all the way up to like 6+. So that if I had my photos already, I'd go, okay, this event, this is before pocket scrapbooking too, this event has 4 photos. So let me go grab my sketches basically of layouts with 4 photos, and I'd find one that I really liked and thought would fit with like the orientation of the photos, or you know, if I liked the layout and thought it would work well with these photos. And I'd grab that, and I would grab my photos, and then I would put them in an accordion file, like a half-page like accordion file. And I would organize all those, and I would take that with me to the scrapbook store. And then I would pull my photos out and go, okay, you know, this collection or these papers is what I'm going to use for this layout. And then when I got home, I'd put the layout sample, the photos, and the supplies that I bought into a 12 by 12 page protector. That was my layout. And I would take like 10 of those with me to a crop, and I would get them all done. So using your time to maybe prep your pages might be a good use of time, because you can kind of be with them and with your stuff. You don't have to be like super focused to do that, and you can do that in small spurts. So I would suggest maybe using the time that you can to prep, and using, you know, the time that they're asleep to actually do the scrapbooking, so that you're not spending all of your time, your precious nap time, prepping for that. You know, I have boys, and I think that if I had girls, I might have been in a lot more competition over like my supplies and them wanting to be involved. But I've always had them have their own art supplies. So they have like a bin, or whatever kind of stage they were in, they always had their own stuff, because this is my stuff. And I always just let them know that this wasn't stuff that they could touch, and made that very clear to them. They never got into my things. And, you know, it could be because they weren't interested. It could be because I set the boundary. So I guess I would just say, you know, get them involved by giving them their own stuff, because like I would set up a little table next to wherever I was scrapbooking. I had a lot of different places that I scrapped in our years as a family. And so I would always just have a place maybe next to me or close to me where we could be creative together. So we were still spending time together, but they weren't grabbing in my stuff or sitting on my lap or anything. And we were just doing our own thing and still being together. And so my youngest son actually even made his own Bible journal out of a little traveler's notebook. And, you know, he paints in there and gets messy, and I will let him use specific supplies I've given to him that are his to use. And so, you know, it's a great way to get them involved. All right, well, we have a special question that is really, really important. Jana Melinda, my girl, she wants to know my favorite tacos. And let me just tell you, like, Mexican food is my love language. So tacos are super important. And I do not reserve Tuesdays as being the only days I can eat tacos. I will eat tacos any day of the week. Like, every day could be named Taco Day, right? But I'm specific about my tacos. There's a place, and any of my family or people who've known me for a long time know that Murillo's is my favorite Mexican place of all time. It's in my hometown, and it is, you know, everybody's got their favorite Mexican food restaurant. This one just, it tastes like childhood. It just tastes amazing, right? And other people are probably like, not that great. But for me, best tacos. But it's an hour away. It's not very convenient to just run over to Murillo's, grab some tacos and some chips and salsa. Oh my God, chips and salsa. But I make some pretty good tacos myself. So I would have to say that it's a tie between homemade tacos and Chipotle. Very different, like so different. Like Chipotle, some people don't even call it Mexican food. Whatever. Tastes really good to me, right? I like my tacos super specific. Chicken tacos with a little bit of rice, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of sour cream on flour tortilla. Amazing. When I'm home, we do turkey meat with regular taco seasoning, and like we use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream, and I like tomatoes and avocado and cheese, and tacos are so yummy. So, Jana, what are your favorite tacos? last question for this episode will be, which scrappy project is your favorite to work on? And she lists Project Life, December Daily, One Little Word, my personal album. I would say that out of the 4 of these projects, my personal album is probably my favorite right now, especially because I just moved to doing it in a traveler's notebook. So December Daily is awesome, but I get burned out, you know, halfway through because I'm still using the same supplies. I'm like going through the same cards, right? Although it's just an awesome project and I always love how it turns out at the end. One Little Word always gets forgotten about. So clearly that's not my favorite project to work on, because I've tried to do a year's worth of something, like not even like in the format of doing something every month, but just kind of trying to keep my One Little Word in a separate little place, and it just doesn't really work out. My Project Life family album is so special to me, but it takes a longer time to do a layout. You've got a lot of photos to work with. The process is longer. It's a lot more thought out. Whereas the traveler's notebook, it's like, I've got one picture, a quote, I can just throw whatever supplies in. I mean, it's like a quick thing. It's so much fun. And so that is definitely my favorite project right now, as you can tell, because I'm super obsessed with the traveler's notebook. So the pages are quick and easy, and I super love it. So that is all I have for you. These were really fun questions. So if you have more, if you have follow-up questions to my answers, then either leave the comment in my Instagram post or the YouTube comments or wherever. I am super excited to continue doing these. I hope that we can get back together, and I'm happy to answer your questions. We'll talk really soon. Bye, guys.